What's up, everybody? We're back at it again. I'm Dave Gluckner. That's Marc Tomasini. We are Philly 4 for 4, plus a whole lot more. Philly, fourth and go here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network. Can't wait to talk for the next however long it takes with our Philadelphia 76ers and Marc. What's going on there? The NFL Divisional round, the craziest round of football, the best round of football we've probably seen in our lifetime there. What a competitive, every single game going down to the wire, finishing on a scoring play. And we'll get into a little bit of the Eagles news as we got some news today on some changes they'll have on the offensive line. So with that said, I'm going to pass it off to my man. It's a winning Wednesday. Right, Marc T?
What up, what up? I'm like Cooper Kupp catching the ball for a touchdown at the end of the game, or Travis Kelce, or whoever you want it to be. Yes, it is a winning Wednesday. Saw you last night. We already did it last night. We're getting it in 2 nights in a row. So for all our fourth and go fans, double the fun.
And we got one checking in.
Yeah, we last night the Steam Pub, it was a good show. Definitely try and get up there more often. It was definitely a good time. Tony and the boys really put on a good show for us. Like had fun. It was good.
It was a great time ripping it up there. I mean, just so many good opinions, so many good, good.
It's nice to mix
discussion, and just good clean mix, good fun, great food. I tell you, I wrote it today. That French dip was banging, baby.
Yeah, it was. No, it actually was really good.
It was.
It was so good.
Hey, I gotta eat.
We did not have podcast etiquette. You and I both eating French dips.
Peyton Manning ate on his show this year. I don't.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, what better way to show the Steam Pub some love than show the awesome food?
Right, both of us chowing down.
Cease, my man, missed you last night. We'll get you soon, but thanks for checking in. I think you would have had the right call to the trivia question last night. Finally, someone cracked it with the last 3 Sixers that scored 50 points with Embiid hitting 50 last week. He did it again previously last year, Iverson before that, and then it was Dana Barros going way back.
That's
but
Marc,
let's open it up with the Sixers.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Last night we got to witness another. How do I explain this? Close call of a train wreck.
Lack of first half.
Yeah, I mean,
just didn't show up to start the game. I mean, I'll tell you this to interject. When I saw on Twitter earlier in the day, they literally had like 8 people out, and it's including Brandon Ingram, Devontae Graham. Like, you knew it was not going to be a blowout. Like, an easy win was not coming. It wasn't. I mean, the thing is, the score is very misleading. They still won by 10, but I don't know what it is. It's not being prepared. I couldn't tell you. And not only did they had Nickel Anderson or Alexander, whatever his name is.
Yep.
Hyphenated name. Yeah. Him and Hernan Gomez torched us in the first half for a combined 50-something points.
Yep.
In the first half between the two of them. Like, what? And then it's just like the Orlando game. Mo Bamba had his career high and hit 5 threes. And we just off the slow starts. But then we shut it down come the third quarter, even though this was not as much like in that Orlando game, they tore the doors off of the third quarter, and that was it. And there was no looking back. The Pelicans were in it for a while. Not till probably midway in the fourth quarter is when they started to take that step forward.
No, you're absolutely right. I guess the way I looked at it was it's hard to get up against teams like that, right? When you understand that they're almost punting on third down by rolling out that lineup. Like they really are. They're sitting there. They know that they are moving on and playing the next one. But the guys are getting opportunities to play that usually don't get to put up 30, 32 minutes or that many shots. Like, Nickel Alexander Walker.
Yeah, he was 11 for 22.
Amazing. He puts up volume. And, I mean, they were just getting a lot of, energy out of those guys that don't normally play. And that's really what bothered me the most, probably, when you let up 58 points at half and you're not matching the energy of a team that's throwing out their scrubs and dubs. That's a problem. And it's
at home, too.
What's that?
At home.
Yeah. It's kind of inherent, like you mentioned, the Orlando game, very similar. Look, we can look, and the Sixers, I think, are 15-5 in their last 20, and we can admire their play. But if this is going to be the team we have, and no major trades come through at the deadline, we got to have a little bit of an attitude adjustment. Now I understand Seth Curry wasn't in. I understand we are also missing Shake, right? I understand we're missing one other piece.
Well, Thibault was game time, and they ended up he came back quick. I don't know.
Yeah, he was back, but yeah, they were missing some pieces that are integral parts to this team, and it is hard to continually manage that when it's day by day, minute by minute. I get all that, but Doc's still to me that's a little on Doc.
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't even say little. That's a lot on Doc to get his team ready to play. Call timeout in the first 2 minutes.
Right.
You want to be pop? We already know that.
Oh.
Be pop. Start calling these timeouts. Start fighting them up.
I thought you earned it.
He has earned it. But yeah, let's look at the second half. Story came out today, and Embiid and Tobias were fed up. They said, "That's it. No more of this. We're going to go take over," and they did, and rightfully so. Joe just can't be stopped right now. What did he drop? 42 last night.
40. Yeah, he was 42, 14, 4 and 4. I mean, that's a hell of a stat line, and it's becoming clear as day right now. I mean, the rankings may not say so, but the feeling across the whole league is this guy right now playing the way he is, and if he continues to do it, he should be the MVP. And Shaq, who doesn't like to give other centers credit usually, he said he's the baddest man in the NBA right now, and nobody's doing what he's doing. And he's like, so I know they may shade him, and he might get not taken advantage of, but they might give him a disadvantage and say, well, there's a guy on another team who has 2 more wins that, is playing well, and they'll give the MVP to him. They're like, no, right now, he said hands down, Joel Embiid is the baddest man in the NBA right now. I mean, he's playing like a monster.
And it's a great thing to bring up. I think so. I've been keeping an eye on Hollinger's PER leaders, and that's the player efficiency rating that he came up with, this crazy mathematical equation. And Jokic has been leading over the past few weeks here, and Embiid was actually third. But after this recent torrid stretch of continuously putting out 40-plus points, 30-plus points, some 40, some 50, he's moved up to second on the PER board. He's only a half point behind Jokic now, where he was 3.5 earlier. I think, the numbers are starting to match up with our eyes, too. So I agree with you. He's MVP right now. Even more importantly, now the numbers are starting to back that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's we I think we brought it up a lot, whether it was on the air or not, talking with Al and everything. Shout out to him. They love to put up Jokic's stats because he's got all these it's kind of like the DVOA in NFL, all these weird percentage stats that the nerds and the analytics guys put together. And that's where they discredit Embiid, where they say Jokic is doing all this, but nobody's doing what Embiid's doing right now.
Yep.
And this is where it's more than just the numbers, but the numbers are there now, and that's the difference. Like you said, the numbers are there. Plus points in his last
All right, we're losing him. I don't know what's happening. You there? You're in and out.
I'm downstairs. I should be there.
Yeah, you might need to. We'll hang in a minute here, but I got what you're saying, and definitely everything catching up, aligning itself. The part that worries me, though, is how much gas is left in that tank. I mean, we are riding this guy right now in this midseason stretch, and we need to. There's absolutely no doubt about it. How much gas is there in that tank? And he's still young. He's shown us he's got that. I'm loving his fourth quarter game. Recently, he is dominating in fourth quarter, so you can see he has the stamina. He has conditioned himself a lot better. So I think there's gas there. I do. I'm just hoping that I'm hoping there's enough for us to get it to the playoffs because we're riding this guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think he can do it. But I agree. There's always that chance that maybe he slows down, maybe he's doing too much. But I think he's changed his whole way of life. It's something that we talked about on the show last night. about, and it was a point that I originally brought up about, they hit 26, 27, 28. It's when the stars really come into their own.
Yep.
And I know somebody who was watching the show brought up the fact that he had a child too, but he's changed his whole philosophy. He's changed his work ethic. He's changed his diet. He looks better. He's not tired. He's not pulling up the rear coming down the floor. I mean, he's taking the ball and going coast to coast, and he's doing it on multiple occasions. And he's doing it late in games. He does it early in games. He does it late in games. And it's, I was talking to Al about it last night. I know, like, his handle has been so much better. Yep. And I remember early when he tried to be Superman earlier in his career, because they had nobody else. And again, they still really don't have anybody else. He would put the ball on the floor towards the end of the game, late in the fourth quarter, and guards would just come and snatch it from him as he tries to make a play running down to the basket. And he always was turning the ball over late in games, and he wouldn't even get that shot up at the end to do it. He's been now he's making guys miss. He's crossing guys up. He's hitting spin moves on his way down coast to coast. I mean, there's no stopping him right now.
I agree.
He's a wrecking ball.
It's awesome to watch. We talked about it last week, how he's become absolutely, if not my most beloved 76er all time. Yeah. He's knocking on that door of AI, and he's right there with Barkley and Dr. J. So he's just wonderful to watch, and we are lucky right now to be getting this quality of play from someone. So looking forward here, though.
If Embiid wins a title, you have a real tough decision, because, like, the things that, even though Allen Iverson and Joel Embiid are two totally different players and two totally different people, they both had to put everybody on their back, and against all odds, kind of. If at some point he's able to do it, it's going to be hard. And the thing is, Iverson embodied this team, and so does Embiid in their own ways.
Yep. I tell you what, the comparisons that Iverson and Embiid are nowhere close when you look at their physical traits.
Right.
But when you look at the things that they do well together, it's very similar. And it all starts with they give maximum effort.
Yeah.
Maximum effort. And then Philly loves you back for that. And the second one that I give them both credit for, they understood Philly. They got it. And they got it from an early age. They weren't intimidated by it. They actually looked at it as a challenge. And then once that challenge they could meet that challenge and almost overcome that challenge, they loved it. And they wanted more and more. And those guys, because of those two unique traits, all mental, they're awesome. They're very similar just because of those two things.
Yeah. No, it's tough, because, like, Iverson's one of my favorite athletes ever. Growing up, and Embiid's right next to him. I mean, it's crazy to think about it. Like, I would have never thought. I remember going back to when they drafted him. I was like, oh, like, I remember everybody was just like,
oh, I loved it.
Hurt. See, I'll admit, I can gladly admit, like, I was like, if he works out, great, but, like, I was like, this sucks. Like, I think that was the Wiggins draft. I was like, God, if we could just get Wiggins or Parker.
Well, but we couldn't enough, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I got
you. Jabari Parker's not in the NBA. Wiggins is he's upticked a little bit, but he hasn't had nearly the impact that Embiid has had. I mean, it just worked out. But we also suffered for 2 years. But it only took his personality within, like, a couple days after being drafted to, like, be like, oh, this guy, he's it.
And
it was your personality.
Yeah, that's it. But you remember, both Wiggins and Embiid were on the same college team, right?
Right.
Yeah, Kansas. Yeah. So it was, and Embiid got hurt, I think, right before the tournament or right in the tournament. And it was the foot.
Stock fell. Yeah.
Well, and that was it. That's what made him fall to Sixers, because if he doesn't get hurt, he's getting picked one. I fully believe that.
Or if it's not Cleveland, and Cleveland's setting up to get Kevin Love.
Yeah. Yeah. But then they're still trading Embiid out to Minnesota.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
They wanted Love at that time. It was a LeBron thing, right? So, sometimes things just fall the way they should fall. Yeah. It didn't fall that way for the Sixers in the previous draft with Okafor and some other pieces. Yeah. Fultz obviously thereafter. And now looking at Simmons, we only got 1 out of 4, right? But getting 1 out of 4 and getting this piece, huge.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm looking forward here, and I've got to get your opinion. Huge game tomorrow night. You know who's coming to town?
I'm blank. Not the Kings. Kings? No.
No, the Lakers.
Oh,
The
oh,
Los
oh,
Angeles
oh.
Lakers are coming to town. I'm fortunate enough. I'm going to go down to the arena tomorrow and get to see it. But that's a team that is. Let's talk about a team that is in complete shambles. I'm so disgusted with the way the Lakers are treating both Russell Westbrook and Frank Vogel.
Not surprised.
Not surprised because it's all coming from LeBron.
Right.
Yeah, but he's absolutely looking for scapegoats, and it's not going to be himself. He built this roster. He wanted these players. He's very manipulative. That's what he does, and it's worked before. That's how they've been able to bring titles to the teams he's been on. But it's blown up in his face on this one, and he's not willing to admit it. So instead, he's ready to get the coach out of there, like he did with what was the guy's name? David. When Ty Lue came in, it was the guy that coached out in like Greece.
Not Tisdale.
White dude.
Yeah, Blitzer. No, David.
It'll come to me, and then he did the same with Mike Woodson, I think, too, as well. And he has his way. Once things aren't going good, it take the blame on someone else, so it gets him out of the spotlight. And Russell Westbrook, I know he's not playing great, but from the point of view here is you wanted him.
Right.
You got him. You got this Carmelo Anthony, too, who can't play any defense. You got every single old guy in the league, and it doesn't work. And now all of a sudden, it's someone else's fault. And
getting your friends to play together, it's not how it works.
His age.
No,
it worked when he was in Miami, but not this age.
Right, but that was a different story. You had the top 3 free agents all together.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's a train wreck. I mean, I think Westbrook's been bad, but
yes,
he doesn't deserve this. I mean,
but he has no support.
But they also should have known too that that's what they were getting too. Like Russ in Washington was the same guy. He just had more volume, so he scored more points. That's why it looked. That's why it looked like, you know what? Oh, he'll be fine here. Less volume from him. He's still going to shoot. He's still shooting over the backboard. It's the same thing. I mean, the funny thing is, it's I was a Russell Westbrook fan for the longest time, and he's fallen off hard.
Yeah,
he really has. Past like 2-3 years, like he still puts up like double sometimes. Like in the a couple years ago, he was still putting up triple doubles. I'm sorry, but talk about a fall from grace. I mean, I know he's stat padded, but still, he's not effective anymore. He could put a team on his back and do all the stats himself. But
did you catch Karl Anthony Towns probably about a month ago was on a podcast and he called out Russell Westbrook for padded stats?
Yeah.
And the league, the players were not cool with it. But Cat's a little fake himself. He's an
interesting dude. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting that if he thinks that, and he's saying that on a pod, there's obviously a lot of people there out there thinking the same things. But I ask you this because looking at the Lakers and the construct that they have now, would they have been better holding on to guys like Caldwell Pope and Kuzma? Because it looks like Kuzma's playing some ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. I mean, I think this is typical LeBron. He moves guys out, and then they end up playing better elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like away from him in his system. I mean, you look at him having Lonzo moved out, like all that stuff. Like
Ingram.
Lonzo moved out, Ingram, right? Like you're telling me they wouldn't be playing well together because he wanted his team.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted it to be his team, and honestly, it was probably better for all players involved.
Yeah,
to get out of there.
Yeah,
because honestly, like I get it, LeBron's one of the greats to do it, but. Like he's like a black hole. Like you get sucked into his system, and it's like some people benefit in it and others don't. Like somebody like Alex Caruso, he benefited from it, but he's still playing great elsewhere.
Right.
But like so, it's a tough place to be in. Like I feel like there's highs and lows that come with playing with LeBron, and also you're fearing like, am I going to get traded? Am I going to get cut? Because he doesn't want me, like, you know what I mean? It's not the. It's not the fear that you should be playing with. Like, you don't want to disappoint a guy, but I feel like him, it's like, I don't want to get cut because he could just snap his fingers and have me gone.
So now I tell you this. We have a good little talk about what the Lakers are now. And before we get into that game and what the Sixers have going forward, I'm going to ask you a question. With the Lakers rolling into town, it only happens once a year. And as they roll into town here, I got to ask you, who's the greatest Laker in your opinion of all time? They've had so many that I think we're going to come up with two different ones here. So I'll let you lead off.
I'm kind of stuck. There's a guy that I want to say.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say it because I think he's the third best player ever. It's Kobe Bryant.
Okay. Yeah.
Like well, you go ahead.
So for me, it's Magic Johnson and
see that was where I was debating right there, just because he did more.
And the thing with Magic, and everybody at some point that's great somehow changes the game, right? But Magic really, really changed the game.
Right.
He turned out to be this 6'9", 6'10" point guard. Back then, they were running the 6'1s out there and with the high shorts and calling just the screen and rolls and not even trying to score. But just get your guys in the offensive sets. But he came out and he brought this new dynamic to the offense. And Pat Riley saw this and said, well, it was Westphal first and then Riley. And then Riley saw it and said, we're going to be Showtime. And his vision and his ability to be taller than everybody, see the court, and have all these great wings like your James Worthy, AJ Green. You had down low Kareem. Kurt Rambis could even run a little bit with him.
Right. He really did.
And then when they needed it and they were down and out, and didn't have a center, Magic went in, played center, dropped 40 on us. And it's just those kinds of things that Magic Johnson could do in an era that was a little stale. I'll just call it that. I mean, there was some entertainment, there's some great players, but I mean,
pretty much that time was all Lakers, Celtics, and that's it, and everybody else.
Well, Sixers were right there too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, but they only won the one. But yes, yeah,
and lost it. But it was pretty much those three for that 5-6 year stretch.
Right.
But Magic, man, there's something about Kobe. I remember sitting in a hotel room out in San Diego watching him drop 81. No, I'm sorry, not 81. What did he drop on his final game? 60?
60.
Yeah. Just watching that game.
Nuggets, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, out at a bar in San Diego, and everybody just going nuts. They knew it was his last game, and he couldn't. People were feeding him like a arcade. He just kept pouring it in, but he just wouldn't miss. He was amazing. I really loved him. That's my lasting memory of Kobe. Right. There were certainly good ones. The 81 he dropped on Jalen Rose.
And Jalen Rose.
Yeah. It's amazing. And some of the great things he did in the finals, obviously.
And today is the 2-year anniversary.
So another reason I ask him, to the Bryant family, obviously, going too soon. And a lot of times that's what happens to the great ones. So give me now that I gave you mine, you still on Kobe?
I'm still on Kobe. I mean, I really think he's the third best basketball player to ever play the game. Like, I agree with you, and that's why I was back and forth with it. Not back and forth with it. Like, I've always thought that Kobe was that guy. But, I mean, to me, it's just kind of era, like, and that's always a slippery slope to go down, like, comparing eras and not.
It is.
Because Kobe wasn't the complete player that Magic was. Like, obviously, that's what – we were told that Ben Simmons was going to be. He was going to be a guy who could dish it, who could play defense, who could score, and really I'll save the Ben stuff, but because it'll just be me thrashing him. But with Kobe, he's just that killer. He was the guy. You put the ball in his hand at the end of the game, and he was always a I want the ball kind of guy, and he could do it with everyone against him, and he was to me. The closest thing to Michael. Like, I guess I can say that LeBron is that second best player, just like based on the things that he can do because he has that magic. He can pass and everything like that. I don't like to give LeBron credit, but I'll say it, like, for what he does, for what he is. He probably is going to go down as the second best player all time. and I don't want to admit it, but I will because that's who I am. But Kobe was that alpha. See, to me, LeBron's not even as much of an alpha, and Kobe has that just get me the ball mentality, and he's a guy who takes over the games, and there's just something about those guys.
Yeah, he was special.
He was special.
His mindset, his killer mentality. I thought it got him in trouble early in his career. I remember, one game I think against the Spurs, he shot 0 for 8 from 3 or something, and they were just killing him.
I think it was his rookie year or second year, the playoff game against the Jazz, where he airballed 3 threes.
Yeah,
airballed 3 threes, and because he was like, I'm just gonna go out there, I'm gonna shoot.
Yep.
But no, he wasn't scared, but he said it after that night. Going further, he was in the gym, and real quick, there's watching the Kobe documentary, one of them, and Iverson's like, this is how I knew this guy was special when I was out in LA and I was hanging out with him, and he's like, yo, Alan, what are you doing? He's like, man, I'm going to the club. Like, you know what it is. Yeah. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to the gym. Like, he was at the gym at, from 10 to 2 in the morning on a Friday night when Iverson's, knocking down 40 Coronas and then getting up. But the special thing about Iverson was
he could do that.
He could go and drop 40 Coronas and then drop 40 points on, the Knicks the next day. Like, they both were two different people, and you just wonder, what could have Iverson been if he applied himself a little more? But still, Kobe was a different monster.
So
he was always trying to get better.
Do you remember who drafted Kobe Bryant?
Charlotte.
You remember what the trade was?
Was it no, not Antoine Jameson. What was it? Oh, I forget.
Vlade Divac.
Oh, jeez.
And I think some assortment of an extra player pick, but I'm pretty sure it was Vlade.
That might be it. Yeah.
That being the big trade, and Charlotte was decent back then. They had LJ. They might even had
Grandmama.
Yeah. We were battling them in the playoffs, so I think they weren't looking for someone young. They were trying to augment their team to take that next step. But can you imagine if he stayed a Hornet? I don't know if the script's the same.
I don't there's just something with the Lakers franchise. I mean, obviously it's historic. It's I don't know if the story ends up the same, or he would be, somebody that ended up going somewhere else. You look back
at better. Who knows?
And he would have had his own legacy. I mean, he still has his own legacy, but he would have had his own Charlotte legacy, not a Lakers legacy. But again, just like Shaq was amazing with Penny in Orlando.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, I'm going to stay with Orlando. And Orlando's like, we're not paying him anymore. And we have to.
Yep.
And LA's like, come here.
Come on. Yeah.
And that's what into that.
Yeah, he didn't win a title with Orlando, right? They lost.
No, they lost in the finals. I think.
Right.
That was
Houston, right?
MJ was in retirement.
Yeah, I think Olajuwon got him.
Yeah, Olajuwon. I think it was Houston or Orlando back-to-back years. I know Houston won back-to-back titles the 2 years that Jordan was out of the game.
They absolutely did, because Sam Cassell was one of my. I love Sam Cassell.
95 and 96. No, 94, 95. 94, 95.
That was it.
Jordan came back in 96.
Yeah, because that was obviously what I want to say, Greg Anthony, the guy on TNT.
Kenny Anderson. Kenny the Jet Smith. Kenny the Jet Smith.
Kenny Smith was there. Yep. Kenny Smith, like I said, Cassell,
they had a great team.
Yeah. I even think Clyde might have been on them at that time. Drexler too.
I think
he was on one of the back-to-backs. So, that was and that's the other thing. Shaq is like he won it all his title. Actually, he won with the Heat later in his career, didn't he?
He did. His second year with the Heat.
Yeah, him and Dwayne Wade beat Dallas.
Yep.
Because Nowitzki got the 2 finals, both against the Heat.
Right.
He lost that early one, won that one with LeBron. Yep. Awesome stuff. All right, so Sixers talk tomorrow night. I think they're in good shape. I think the Lakers are kind of beaten down a little bit, playing a lot. Did
AD come back yet? I know he was close.
They said he was going to come back the other day, and he didn't. And then he could be tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny though. When I think of AD, I think of Chuck calling him street clothes.
Yeah, yeah, I love Chuck. He won't let it go. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he knows he's hurt all the time, so that's a
Yeah.
great line. Yeah, he's got a chance to come back, but I think the Sixers will still be in pretty decent shape tomorrow
Yeah.
night. Hopefully Seth comes back. I think it was just a little I thought it was a little shoulder contusion. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah.
But now let's talk the big news of the 76ers. A lot of
Yeah.
rumors swirling since we were last on the air. And now it looks like February 10th is starting to become June or July of this summer to trade our favorite target, number 25, Ben Simmons. I want to ask on the confidence level, before we get into any of that talk of what's out there this week, what's your confidence level now? Because we got this week, we got next before February 10th hits, that Ben Simmons will be traded by the trade deadline. Give me a percentage.
I still want to say, 50%.
Okay. I think that's a good
it's
number.
kept there because reading the tea leaves of all that's going on, there's things that make me think like this is a ploy and this is a play and this is by Daryl. And I think he's really just trying to be absurd just to raise the bar as much as he can leading up to this moment.
Yeah, so I'm at 66% that he will. Kind of two-thirds, a good two-thirds chance, one-third no. And I think it's a little bit, I even have some more confidence that when there's smoke, there's fire. And obviously this smoke right now is, him trying to buy up Ben's value. Understand if he's going to wait till the offseason that he's got one target alone, and that's James Harden. So it's, I think he's really trying to drive that value up right before the deadline. Why do all this unless you really want to take a home run swing? So I still think there's a good chance. I think he knows this team. He can say what he wants. He was on the Mike Miss show last week.
Yeah.
That this team is still good enough to finish in the top four and compete. But he used the word compete. He didn't want to say how far they could go. They can't. They just can't. You can't just.
Yeah.
No. So
not without making upgrades. You're playing a man down. I forget who I was listening to. It was Shaq again. He was saying, well, you just move on. Like, he doesn't want to be here. You move on. It's like, yeah, that's cool. I get that sentiment from the player standpoint. But when you look at this organization, that's a $40 million guy that is taking up space where there could actually be somebody here of value that could be helping your team win. Yes, he's choosing not to be here, but you have a gaping hole now. Because he goes, well, I'm good with Tobias being the second guy. Cool. But again, you're supposed to have three main guys. Now you have two, and you have a salary cap hole this big. Yep. So you got to figure out what to do with it. So you can't just be okay with that. You have to make something happen. And I get about not wasting, Joe's prime and stuff like that. But I think because it seems like a lot of the trades that are rumored to be from the Sixers end is multiple first. And here's what I think. And that's why, I'm surprised. I thought you were going to be less than me on the percentage scale on if you think they could get a deal done. But I don't think you need Ben to make a trade for Harden or for an elite guy or for a Beal or something. Maybe he's just saying Harden, but putting it out there that maybe it's Beal or something like that. You got a lot of different things going on with the tea leaves right now. You got Kendrick Perkins saying that his camp is saying he wants to be in Philly. He wants to be with Embiid. He wants to be in Philly. They're going to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think if you get multiple firsts and if you're New York, and that's the thing. Harden could have signed an extension in October.
Yeah.
He chose not to.
Yeah.
He chose not to. So that's why it makes you think, do you just let him walk for nothing?
No, they'll get a signing trade done, in the offseason. And I do believe, and the Nets have come out today. And that was the news I was alluding to. Obviously, we've jumped into it, that James Harden is the eye. Right. What the prized possession for Daryl Morey. And we get it. They've had a relationship.
That's been his guy forever.
Yeah. And but he's 32, going to be 33 next year. So we're wasting his time a little bit. We're wasting Embiid's time if this doesn't happen right away. And that does concern me. But the reason I'm not, I thought initially, first reaction yesterday, or the other day was, yeah, and it's not going to happen. But then I just started to think about it and let it absorb more. That this is all a lot of posturing. And then when you hear the news that James Harden doesn't like it in New York because he doesn't like the taxes, come on, what?
And the
Dude, you've been paying that tax for a year and a half now. You got traded last November, right? And now it's coming out, and now you don't like the party scene. You don't like this, and you don't like that, and it's why now? And it really made you think that is that the Sixers kind of, and it's probably Harden too. Don't get me wrong, he's not out there denying it, but are they out there waving the flashers, just trying to say this is going to happen, guys? If you don't want to make this trade, I'm telling you this is going to happen.
Right.
I think it is. I think it's
No, I really think it is. I mean, he said on the Missinelli show last week, he said Sacramento knows the deal that can be made.
Yeah.
There's a deal that's been proposed. They didn't say yes. They didn't say no.
Yeah.
If this is, we don't know this for a fact. We're talking like we're sitting in the negotiation room. We're not. But he knows. And the thing is, I think he's trying to make as much value as possible. It's unfortunate because we forget. Like, we kind of forget just because it's been so long now. Like, Ben Simmons, like, as much as he's on our mind, he's also not. Like, we also forget about him, too. And the thing that, he hurt the Sixers' hand and their value so bad by not being there. So Daryl has to conjure up something. He has to make this happen because he's not getting what he wants. And I do think probably what he wants is very lofty. But again, as a GM, you gotta find one team. You just gotta get one sucker bet team. And that's a team that is not a good franchise that is going to take those risks. So AKA Sacramento, they can't land squat in free agency.
Yeah, so that's great.
They have this through trade or draft.
So talking about Sacramento, let's just go over their last 5 games. They lost to the Houston Rockets, the second worst team or third worst team in the NBA, at home. And then they got the Pistons coming in town. Lost to the Pistons, the second worst team in the NBA. So that's 2 in a row they lost at home to horrible teams. And it's hard to be worse than the Kings, but these 2 teams were, and they won on the home court. So then they go on this trip. They get beat by Milwaukee, actually hang in that game, only lose by 6. Last night, they go to Boston and lose by 53. And you know what 53 was? It was an all-time record win for the Boston Celtics in their home court. The Boston Celtics, the team that has the most NBA titles in league history, the team that, has really, smoked teams in the past. That was their all-time largest win in history, 53 versus Sacramento last night. And then tonight, they end up losing by 17 to Atlanta, another big blowout. But even more importantly, in the second quarter, they got outscored 46-17 by 29. They're non-competitive. They can't really do much with the team that they have constructed. Obviously, they lack life. They lack luster. Why not? So
something's got to be done. You got to change the tide some way, and this is their way to do it. And this is their way to get Ben out there. Yeah, it's not probably his premier destination. He would rather be with the Lakers or the Clippers, but with the Warriors. But that's not happening.
I'd send him to the Kangaroos. I don't care where he goes.
I don't.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to play basketball. It doesn't matter. I just don't want to be associated with him anymore.
Yeah, and great. Sacramento, we only see him twice a year, and then when he comes here, he'll never play because he'll be scared.
He'll be injured.
He'll be on DMP. Coach's decision needs rest. But the thing is, I think it gets done with Sacramento. It's the team, and like you said, they've already said that there's a deal out there that can be made. And here's the $1 million question to you. Because I think we had a good point last night, and I think this came a little bit from your brain. Why couldn't they trade with Sacramento and then flip those goods potentially for Harden in the offseason? Why does it have to be, one or the other? When it really possibly could be both. Why wouldn't a Brooklyn potentially take a Tobias Harris and a Halliburton in all season? Why wouldn't they take some pieces of this and what we have? They're going to lose them. Right.
That's going back to when the Sixers traded for Tobias and then that free agency, we got into the whole Jimmy Butler aspect of everything. And now Tobias is still a Sixer because they didn't re-sign Butler. So they re-signed Harris, and the other team that was making there was like 4 teams, but the one who publicly came out and said they wanted Harris was the Brooklyn Nets. Now this is pre-KD, pre-Kyrie, but they were in. They wanted. I think they were on the come up a little bit. I remember we had played. I think that was the same year we played them in the playoffs. They took it to us the first game or two. I mean, but we blew them out of the water. But they had some talent. They played us hard for a little bit, got very chippy, but that was the Jared Dudley was starting fights and stuff like that. But they wanted Tobias, so maybe they would. Maybe they'll say, you know what, he had 33 the other night. He had a good game. Like, he has his games. He can, he can help out. We're not flushed anymore. Like, we got issues with Kyrie and when he's going to play, when he's not going to play. And KD gets hurt, we need a backup guy. We need somebody who can kind of step in, and so maybe you can package those first round picks, because that's the one thing. And remember, this is something that they were talking about with Lillard when Lillard was, when everybody was talking about getting Lillard here, and they were saying a deal could get done at the deadline with like a Minnesota, for example, who has a plethora of picks.
Yeah.
And flip them to Portland for Lillard. Like, that's what we were talking about. We kind of got away from that because then the Sacramento stuff emerges. But one of the rumors that was said to be offered by the Sixers was Halliburton and like 3 firsts. Now, I don't think we would get 3 firsts for it, but especially without taking on somebody else's salary, we definitely are taking a Harrison Barnes and a Buddy Hield. But if you get a first or 2, like, that's something that you can package to the Nets, who now are going to lose their guy at free agency anyway. So sign and get something out of it.
So it can happen, and I think the rules do allow you to, because the way I understand in the NBA, and that's why December, I want to say 15th was such a big date, because that's when, like, once you signed a player, you could then trade him. It's like 2 or 3 months. So I think once you get a traded player, you are able to trade him once the new year begins. So I do think that situation works. The other thing I'll ask you is this before we get off the Sixers. What gets it done with Sacramento for you?
What do you mean? Sorry.
And what players? What package?
That we get in return?
Yeah. What gets it done?
I mean, look, I want Halliburton. I want Halliburton. Like, in the past, if you asked me this a year ago, I'm all in on Fox, and I still love Fox.
I am.
But I think that if they believe in Maxey and they want to keep Maxey around. Now, here's the only problem. If Morey thinks the Nets are going to want Maxey and Curry with Simmons or something, or with picks, then you need either Fox or Maxey to be here. So if they pull the trade from Fox, I think that means Maxey is going to end up going somewhere.
I do.
But I think you're looking at a package of Halliburton. I wouldn't be surprised if Marvin Bagley is thrown into the deal, because they've been wanting to get rid of him.
And I think he's on an expiring deal, or he's got 1 year left after this.
Yeah. They want no parts of him there in Sacramento. So he's kind of be a stash bench piece at this point. Like, and he's not absolutely terrible, but he's not what he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be a really good player. So like Harrison Barnes, Marvin Bagley, Halliburton, and a first or 2. And then, but unless now there's the fold that maybe Tobias is included, that would be amazing.
I mean, then it's probably you might want Barnes, like,
right. I mean,
someone at that 3-4 area. Then
I would gladly take Barnes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I would probably.
I'm just saying. I know that Sacramento, I feel like, really wants to get rid of Bagley in any way that they can.
Yeah, well, Bagley's got, so it looks like he's got this year he's playing on, next year he has a qualifying offer for $14 million, and then he's RFA. So it is a club option at the end of this year. So if you do trade for him and you do like him, I think the Sixers will hold on to him, because I think we talked about last night. I think Drummond is probably just a one and done here. So then you got Joe's backup
opportunity after this year.
Yeah. And Bagley may want more, I get it, but you'll at least get 20 minutes, right? In that situation, that scenario, as Joe's backup. Right now, you're getting about the same, but you're not getting the exposure. So I do think the deal that gets it done for me, I think I got to get Halliburton, I got to get healed and 2 first rounders. If I can get that package, granted, I'll take Bagley in a heartbeat too.
No, that's amazing. That would be amazing. Halliburton,
yeah,
because Hield is a good bench shooter.
Yeah, exactly.
And he takes over Korkmaz's spot.
Exactly. And I'm looking at if I can. I mean, ideally, if I could get Halliburton and Barnes, that's great. It's just right now with Barnes, I'm not sure there's a position for him as long as Harris is still here.
Yeah.
So Halliburton's nice, and for people that don't know about it, I think he's averaging close to 14 points a game and 7 assists, shooting 43% from 3.
Yeah, that's what it is right there. And he's been playing much better over the last. I mean, not these past couple of games, but he's been more in that 20s area and stuff like that.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I'm looking at a guy like Fox that averages 21 and 5. When you're looking at Halliburton 14 and 7, you obviously say 5. You go to the PER values, player efficiency rating. Halliburton's rated a lot better player than De'Aaron Fox right now.
Right.
I agree. I don't really want Fox, and a lot of it is the Maxey factor.
Right.
You asked me this 6 months ago. Yeah, I was only on Fox, and I could have traded Maxey as part of it, but now I see them as not too different of a player. And
they're cut from the same cloth. They're literally the same player. They both are from Galveston, Texas. They both went to Kentucky. They both are change of pace type of guys, speed guys who open up the floor for others. That they're exactly the same player.
They are. I think Fox may have a little bit more sizzle and a
little more defense.
But here's what I like better. I think Maxey has that heart. And I mean, I've said this about Fox all year. I just don't think he cares. I don't think he even wants out. Either. He's disinterested, and I get it. I mean, it's hard to play in a situation when there's no real, no benefit. They're not going to win. They're not good. They're never going to be good. So I get why that could make you disinterested, but I don't care. Maxey plays with that fire. He plays hard. If it's an A and B situation. It's very close.
Right.
At this point, I don't want Fox. I want Maxey.
Right.
And I think Joe does too. I think if Joe had to say, he'd be like, I want Tyrese. That's my man.
No, he nicknamed him the franchise now.
Exactly. Loves him.
Yeah.
Loves him.
He loves him. And, I think the thing about Halliburton is he's a position of need.
Yeah.
He's more of a 2, but he could be that 2-3 position for you. And he's a legit shooter. And I think that changes up things. Like you have Seth, and his resilience to shoot, he needs to shoot more. I think Halliburton.
Yeah.
And he's still under a good contract. He's under his rookie deal. Like, there's guys ahead of him. Like, you don't have to pay him for a couple of years. Like, there's a lot of pluses on the Halliburton side. A couple months ago, I would have been all Fox, but things have changed, and the maturation and the growth of Maxey, you have to. You're getting a younger. Maxey is a younger Fox.
Yeah.
With more heart and grit. That's what it is.
Yep, that's what it is. And I mean, you never get concerned. I think Halliburton was drafted like 10th, and I want to say he was Iowa State Cyclone. Not really basketball factory, but one thing you need to know, I'm pretty sure George's Niang is also from Iowa State. Yeah. So they have a little similarity there. I think he'd fit in well. I think it's a kid that adapts, that plays. And guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo, Luka Doncic, well, Luka actually was in the top 3 or 4. They've all been drafted down a little further back. You don't be worried about guys that might be drafted 10th first, guys that might have been drafted first. I'm all in, and I hope it happens. All right, a lot of basketball talk. We got 10 minutes left. Let's run through this real fast, and let's start with the Eagles. There was news today that came out. Brandon Brooks is set for retirement. Yep. They just restructured his deal so he's able to retire, save the Eagles a little bit against the cap. I think upwards of $12 million this year. My first reaction was, I'm not surprised. He tore, I want to say, what's it his pec? Yeah, in 19. No, he tore in 20. He had like a knee injury in 19, and then or was it pec this year?
It was pec this year.
Okay, like every year since 19, he hasn't been able to play a full season, and he's actually played like 5-6 games in 3
over the
years.
last 2 years.
And it's a sad ending to someone we shelled out $40 million for, but was also a guy that when he did play was a monster. He was a beast.
Right.
And his quotes came out today that he's an Eagle for life. I loved reading what he said. You know, he wanted to be out there more. He wanted to do what he could.
Yeah.
But he was so fortunate to have the opportunity to play in a city like this, to have that, you know, support we had for him, because we did. The mental challenges, his anxiety issues, his injuries. Nobody ever really did anything but support him from around here. And that we are a community, and we are an absolute force when it comes to supporting our players, especially those like Brandon Brooks that we love.
Yeah.
And I'll remember him as one thing: a Super Bowl champion. He helped him here. He's part of that team. And Brandon, I wish you all the best, man. And I appreciate that you loved us back. You know, get well, get healthy. Hope to see you around. And you know, you're going out at the right time. You're going to be a healthy young guy, and you're going to be all right. So thanks for everything you did, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I mean he had a really good career. Obviously, he made his money, but he was all in on that Super Bowl team. He was just all in, and that's all you could really ask for. It's not, again, all the injuries weren't his fault. He was getting it was a little frustrating this year because he was supposed to only be out 8 weeks, but you know, you never really got an update for what it was, but it just didn't heal the way it was supposed to. I think that was his body saying, like, it's not happening anymore. Like, it's that you've just been through too much that it can't handle. Some guys can, some guys can't. And in this situation, it just wasn't for him.
And then now he's stretching out his contract and his money as a team player because he believed in how he believed in this city and believed in, you know, what's here. And, hey, it's going to be tough. But, you know, the good news is we got Landon Dickerson. And, you know, depending what Jason Kelce does, hopefully he gives us another year. We pretty much got Brandon Brooks' replacement. Now, if Jason Kelce goes down and Dickerson's got to slide over center, his natural position, we got some other things to think about. I will say this much. Landon Dickerson's going to have to lose some weight if he's going to play center.
Right.
He bulked up. And bulked up, I don't think he was fat. I think he got muscular. He bulked up to play that guard position. And I think we're going to need a little bit more athleticism, slim down, you know, Kelce style if he goes back to center.
There's a couple things, though, that it's not all doomsday, even if Kelce does retire. I mean, obviously, Kelce's the best center, and Dickerson at guard right now. But Isaac Seumalo will be back. And the thing is, in college, he played a lot of center. So that's also you want to keep Dickerson at guard, and you want to keep – because him and Mailata on that left side is a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, I mean, the quarterback's blind side, you know, whoever it is, whoever our quarterback is, that's a powerhouse move. It's like, I mean, maybe he will be a great center, Dickerson, which obviously is very possible. But if you can make it work, you know. So Isaac Seumalo, Sua Opeta, he played decent for you. I mean, the thing is, excuse me, Stoutland is an amazing offensive line coach. It's truly, you know, like they had the talent there for the offensive line, but he also made guys better. I think he had them playing at their very best all the time. Yeah. So they have. That's the one thing I don't really ever doubt with this team. Their offensive linemen. Even with Dillard, like he looked like a shell of himself, but when he came in, was it this season? He came in and he had a stretch there of like 3-4 games when Lane went MIA and they moved Mailata. They brought Dillard in, and he was serviceable. He really was. When we all wrote him off for dead, you know what I mean. So that's the one thing I'm not fearful for is the. And
we got one more year of Dillard, I think, under contract. I want to say he's going into his fourth year. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's going to get that 5th-year contract from us, but
not as a first round.
No, that's what I'm saying. They don't. But no, I think the offensive line will be all right. Like I said,
it will.
There's one position that needs to change for me. It's quarterback, but that's for another story.
Yeah, and that's a different. And for me, I saw some draft projections today. I'm going to tell you, you might like this. Devin Lloyd, Jameson Williams, which I love. You know, I'm not scared of the, the tear of the ACL, and trade back at 19 to 23. And with Arizona, they were saying Arizona needs to move up and get one of these cornerbacks. So we go similar to what we probably like: D-back, linebacker, wide receiver. I know you might have mixed in I think you were on that same kind of train, right?
Yeah, Gardner, Jacoby Dean, and then
Any receiver.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. And but if it's Jameson Williams, with him next to Devontae,
Yeah.
they just need someone that can throw it to him. All right. So with that said, let's talk real quick about this past weekend and what we're going to see this weekend. Was the Chiefs-Bills game the best playoff game you ever saw?
It
It's tough.
probably is, because it's just the whole overtime thing. It does throw it just wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, I literally was, my girlfriend was sitting on the couch here, but like I was standing up in front of the TV, like, oh my god,
Yeah,
oh my god,
yeah,
like
yeah.
you couldn't, like, it just, no way. Like, it was one of those things where it just, every second there was something new that came about. Like, you just, like, no way they did that. And
Yeah. It was amazing. It was two quarterbacks that are just so good.
yeah.
And just watching them to be able to do those things
And
be that
the
accurate.
reason why they're the two highest paid quarterbacks in the league, was it $750 million between the two of them?
Yeah, they're amazing. They put on quite a show.
Yeah.
Patty Holmes just reminds you he's that Grim Reaper. Don't give him 13 seconds.
Right.
That was I think we talked about this a little bit. I'm torn. Like, for me, do you pooch kick? Do you squib kick? I like your idea of squib more than that high pooch to give him a chance to return. Because I think if you squib right down to 30, you're going to lose like 3-4 seconds.
Right.
The problem is they can kneel it. Like
Right. But you
like,
can fair catch it too.
well, they're not gonna fair catch a squib, but yeah.
No, I'm saying for a pooch.
Yeah, a pooch, yeah. But I'm just saying, even the pooch, if you hit it at the 5, they're not gonna fair catch at the 5.
That's true.
It's a tough call. It's a really tough call. But what I know
just hope it takes a bad bounce or something for a squib. That's kind of thought.
That is it. But I just think they just mess up their defensive game plan.
No. Look, when a guy gets that wide open, there's absolutely no reason. You can't let Travis Kelce run up the seam.
And like I said, the linebacker on that side had no safety help over top, and he was playing the outside for some reason, guarding the boundary, which made no sense to me. I even saw when Mahomes did, like, oh my god, just right away, like, this guy's going to get open. I didn't think it would be for 25 like that, but he's going to get open, and Butler nails it, and the rest is history. Overtime rules we can debate for another day. In my opinion, they need to change. And I'm a full advocate of it. Like, play the full quarter in the playoffs. They can stay the same for the regular season. I don't care. Because listen, hockey plays a different playoff in the regular season and the Stanley Cup. Like, let's figure it out on the field, not just with the coin flip. But let me get your picks real fast. We got a couple minutes left. Great games this weekend. Probably not like they're not going to match what we saw this last weekend.
There's no I hope we're wrong, but there's no way. There were 4 great games. I mean, the Green Bay San Fran game was more on the boring side, but it just wasn't what you expected. But it was great football weekend. It was truly incredible.
Yeah, so we got the first game and AFC Championship going off at, I think, 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. We got the Bengals visiting the Chiefs. The Chiefs opened as a 7-point favorite. It's hanging still right around that number. Who you got?
I got the Chiefs. I gotta go Chiefs here. I mean, it's tough. Like I said, another thing that we talked about last night. There's no line protection for Burrow, and I just think, and Tennessee has a good defense, but the tenacity that Kansas City was playing with against Buffalo, and Buffalo's a much better offense than Tennessee, and they were able to still wreak havoc. Even though, towards the end, Allen was able to have his way. But it wasn't until that fourth quarter where everybody just went batshit, It was Kansas City, like I said, they were atrocious to start the year on defense. And now they've gotten better. Like, Melvin Ingram was a big addition. Derek Jones. Who's the 95? He's playing really well.
Oh, the defensive tackle.
Yeah, it's a Jones.
It is Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's playing really well. I think they're going to be able to get after Burrow, and they're going to make him uncomfortable. And then I also think that they're just going to boat race him. I really do. I think they're just going. Kansas City's offense is turning right now big time, and I think it's just going to continue.
Yeah, Chris Jones. We were right there. He is 95. Yep.
No, he's
all right. So you got them covering the number.
Yeah, I honestly I see a 10-point win. Like, you could see this one being close, but I just think that Kansas City, just the momentum that they're riding and the way the defense is playing, it's going to be too much for Joe Burrow. He's not going to have any time to do what he wants to do, and it's a shame because he's having a hell of a season.
Yeah,
and this goes back to, like I said, Jamar Chase it probably is still the better pick, but I was big on them taking Penei Sewell.
Yeah,
and it shows now. It shows now they have no offensive line, and they should be pretty good with the cap number. You have to go out and get whoever the highest tackle is. That I think it's Rasmus or whatever from New Orleans, but you have to go out and get a left tackle to protect your blind side, because they need it terribly, and they really need 2 or 3 pieces.
Yeah, well,
offensive line.
Listen, Joe Burrow. I mean, Jamar Chase ain't no good without Joe Burrow.
Right.
And Joe Burrow ain't no good without offensive line. So I'm still with you. I was on the Penei Sewell train too. And Jamar Chase is special, no doubt about it. And right now I could say, yeah, the Bengals are probably right picking him. But you better get this offensive line fixed pretty quick because
you missed out on a guy.
Yeah, and that was the first game in NFL history. Like, I think Donovan McNabb got sacked 8 times in that 4th and 26 game. And they won, but no quarterback in the playoffs that got sacked 9-1. Here's my call. I like the Bengals with the 7. And I'll say this much. They beat the Chiefs earlier in the season 34-31. Jamar Chase had 11 catches for 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. He couldn't be stopped. They'll obviously try and change that this week. And I get it. And they will. And but they still got T. Higgins. And they still got, another guy on the side there, Tyler Boyd. They still got C.J. Uzomah. They still got Joe Mixon in the passing game. If they can just protect him a little bit, like you said, I think he's going to have time to put up enough points. I think it's a backdoor cover. I do think the Chiefs, the Bengals had the Chiefs' attention. They lost them.
Right.
So they obviously are going to be well focused, well into this game. But this number hasn't moved all week, and I think the books are scared to get it to that 7.5. I really was expecting to see 8 or 9 by now. And I haven't seen it. And for that perspective, I think there's some value in getting the Bengals at 7.
I get it.
Yeah. But
I'm not the gambling guy. And anybody who's watching this, just know if you're going to refer to somebody, refer to him. Because he's the guy with the picks. I'm taking my guesses from what I see.
Hey, all I try to do is hit 65%. And even so, you're going to get them sometimes more than me too. So, hey, look at the NFC Championship game. Let's go over that. Really, you're crazy because it's a three-peat, right? It's the San Francisco 49ers traveling to the Rams, and the Niners have beat them twice this year now, and they're dogs at the Rams of 5.5. And this I'm going to put up as 5, but it's fluctuated. This one, I don't know what to say because I watched Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, I have no idea how he can be a victorious quarterback in that game, but he did. And then I watched Matthew Stafford absolutely dissect a great defense that shut down Patrick Mahomes last year. That defensive front couldn't even touch him. Stafford had a great game. If it wasn't for Cam Akers' 2 fumbles, that one's not even close, right? This one's tough. I'll let you go with this one too.
So I had the line 3.5, but
it is 3.5. You're right.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's why I saw via DraftKings, and the line is 3.5. I have the Rams 3.5. I know probably with the history and what it shows that the 49ers beat them twice. Really, like, them being anything above 3, I think it does make sense to go San Fran. But I think that this is just a feel thing that they let Tom Brady and the Bucs get back into the game. And I think they have to put their foot on the pedal, and they lost to the 49ers twice. And I think McVay's going to pull out all the stops to get them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think that the Rams they played 3 really good quarters against Tampa Bay. The Rams did beat them earlier this year, right? was that?
I thought the Niners were 2-0.
No. The Bucks. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. They lost. They did beat the Bucks. They're 2-0 against the
Bucks,
Bucks.
and that's
Yep.
because we were just a little bit surprised about that at the time.
Yep.
So I think that LA is going to be ready to play, and I think that the way that the Rams were getting after Brady, they had him confused. I think they're going to have Jimmy Garoppolo in trouble.
Yep.
They've made it through somehow, almost in spite of him, and I think they're going to be able to shut down Eli Mitchell. I feel like Fournette didn't really do. He started off the game hot, but then
he caught some balls, but that's it. Yeah.
Right, but he really didn't have a great running game. I think they'll be able to shut down Eli Mitchell. And I think I just think that the Rams really are going to take it to him. I don't think it's hard to win 3 times, let alone 2 times against the same team.
Yeah, I agree. But I would take the Niners with the 3.5 right now. But I think the Rams have a little magic. They should have lost that game.
They should have.
That in the complete game, to have Cooper Kupp run 2 plays like that wide open, and Stafford to smell it out and make those plays, it just tells me they're riding a little something. And I think they kind of flipped the script and are able to pull one out late against the Niners. But I like the 3.5. I do like the Niners in this game. Kyle Shanahan is so creative. He's so good at finding where your weaknesses are. He first game they won 31-10. It was all power running game. Second game he did use a little bit more of his jet sweeps and use some Debos in there in the running game. He'll find it. He'll find a way to exploit your weakness. He's going to keep this game close, even with a bad quarterback. I take the 3.5, but I'm with you. I think the Rams win, and we both had the Rams in the Super Bowl, so that would be pretty cool if we got that half right. Right?
I feel like between your picks and my picks, my pick is who we think should actually win based on last week and based on whatever. But with the points, I see why you're taking that side. Is probably smart. Just the way that the game feels, it's probably you're better because it's always you want to take the points. You want to take the points.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it as if I think the Rams and the Chiefs are far superior.
Yeah, and
that doesn't always matter because the NFL is about ebbs and flows.
They are, and
that's why I'm not a bettor.
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard. You got to keep up with the ebbs and flows. Otherwise, if you're just casual, you're going to look at it one way and it could get you. But we'll see. It's going to be a great game a great weekend of games. Let me just use proper English, and I can't wait for it. Sunday afternoon.
Going to be fun.
Going to be fun. Might have a little snow on the ground this weekend.
Going to be a hell of a day.
Yeah, can't wait, bud. We got Lakers Sixers tomorrow night. We got NFL playoffs this weekend, and we got some big stuff to talk about. Obviously, next week MLB is starting to get closer to maybe a negotiating standpoint.
Sounds like they could be.
It could be. The players have actually gave a little. Now the owners got to give a little. We could be talking some baseball next week. Flyers set a new franchise record for most losses in a row in their history. 13 last night up in the aisle. That's about all we can talk about. At least we touched everything. And that's about it for me because I don't need to get into the Flyers because I might just come. But with that said, Mark, it's been a great night. It was a great night last night. We'll do it again for sure. Next week, 4th and Go on your channel every Wednesday, 9:30 here on the Heat Ratio Sports Network. Until then, remember, I'm Dave Gluckman. That's Marc Tomasini. We are Philly 444 plus a whole lot more. Mark, got anything?
No, I'm ready for Sunday. I'm ready for Sunday.
Can't wait. And thanks for people for checking in. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and a whole lot more. We can't wait. Join us every week from here on out. Until then, next week, Winning Wednesday's out. Dave out, Mark out.